you might have seen these guys in a couple episodes of the Clone Wars and thought, I wonder what they are, and just assumed that they were some special version of a clone or the Clone Wars style take on these guys. But no, they're actually their own elite sect, and today we're going to be talking about them. So, first starting off, what did the Senate Commandos do? Well, they actually did a variety of different things. First of all, they acted as essentially the Secret Service for senators, Supreme Chancellor Palpatine, basically anybody who worked in the Republic Senate, they protected. They also acted as security details for senators who were traveling off-world, as well as diplomats who were coming to Coruscant, and not necessarily alongside, but in the same position as the Coruscant Guard shock troopers. So what I mean by that is patrolling around Coruscant, as well as the military police side of Coruscant Guard troopers, meaning that they typically escorted prisoners of war, and finally acted as security not inside of Republic prisons. That was for the Coruscant Guard, but they worked as security outside of them. So, now we know what they did, but how could you become a Senate Commando? Well, it was actually an incredibly grueling task that required many, many months of dedication. And to even be considered for recruitment in the first place, you already had to have incredible credentials and background from a planetary defense force, or you could be a clone and do it. However, that was much more difficult as the Republic was trying to only keep them as their military and not defending any senators. The final crazy requirement was that whatever planetary security force you were drawn from had to be trusted by the Republic. And while that might sound easy, it was incredibly hard to even be noticed by the Republic, let alone trusted. So only the best of the best were recruited for the Senate Guard. So yeah, not very easy to get recruited for. However, let's say that you did get past the insane recruitment requirements because you were one of the main leaders in a planetary defense force. So you're in, and you need to start your training. Well, what does that look like? Well, the Senate Commandos answered directly to the Republic Senate, meaning that you needed to possess unquestionable loyalty to the Republic's law and leadership, as well as the political discretion to keep sensitive matters that you may have heard discussed secret. Any hint of corruption, divided allegiance, or personal political agenda would disqualify you. Even if you were already an experienced soldier, new recruits underwent specialized training in VIP protection, counter-assassination tactics, close-quarters combat, and finally urban warfare, since they mostly operated in and around Coruscant. They were also drilled in ceremonial duties, standing guard at the Senate and participating in public state functions. Now, onto the ranks and organizational structure of the Senate Guard. At the top of the hierarchy was the Captain of the Guard, the top officer, if you will, directly answerable to the Supreme Chancellor and the Senate Security Council. They oversee all Guard operations, policies, and personnel. The Deputy Captain, the second command, if you will. They assisted the captain with anything that he might need help with, and they handled the day-to-day administrative and logistic operations that would be one too many things for the captain to do. They would take command if the captain was absent, so if he was sick or injured, they would take command for him. Then moving on to the second area, if you will, the command staff. First off are the senior guard commanders, which were high-ranking officers who managed large detachments, ceremonial schedules, and training programs, often responsible for specialized missions or units like the Senate Commandos or Protective Service Detail. Next, the operations officer. They will coordinate mission assignments, guard rotations, and VIP protection rosters. Now onto the third group, specialized units. First up, the Senate Commandos. the most skilled fighters in the Guard, tasked with high-risk missions like hunting assassins, escorting high-priority senators, or operating outside Coruscant. They often worked in small strike teams. Now, protective detail units, assigned to specific senators or committees, providing 24/7 bodyguard protection. Includes both public escorts and plainclothes agents. Now, ceremonial guard. They would handle formal events, processions, and visible security inside the Senate building. They were known for their long blue cloaks and force pikes. Hey, so this is Editor at Geek Gaming here. I was just going through some of the audio footage, and I realized that I didn't make it very clear. The Senate commandos were not the entire Senate Guard. They might have been the most elite part of the Senate Guard, but they were not all of the Senate Guard. They were just a small part of it. Moving on to the Senate commandos' weaponry, they essentially used all of the same blasters as normal clones did. So, the DC-15A blaster rifle, DC-15S blaster carbine, and DC-17 blaster pistols. These videos take a really long time to research, record, and edit, so I would really appreciate it if you subscribed. It lets me know that you enjoyed. And if you want to see me compare the Senate Commando to, say, the Mandalorian Guards or the Red Guards, then be sure to comment that, and I will probably make a video about that. And please like if you learned anything. With that, have a great rest of your day.